you know me, then you know that I am a pretty big fan of Fall Out Boy.
Where is your boy tonight?
I've been listening to them since I was about 15 years old. That's me at 15. One of my siblings had Take This to Your Grave on CD, and I would just listen to that constantly throughout late middle school and high school. I would be drawn to the band's more literate lyrics about narcissism and depression and fame, as well as Patrick Stump's unique vocal style.
Yeah!
And the music itself was so different from any other pop-punk band that I was listening to at that time. Up until that point, when I thought about pop-punk, I thought about Blink-182, Simple Plan, Good Charlotte. But here was this band with some heaviness. Here was this band with some riffs. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that every member of Fall Out Boy, who is ostensibly known as a pop-punk and pop-rock band these days, started out in the world of hardcore. No, really. Hello and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I'm Trevor and I am eternally uncool. I make videos about music, music culture, and anything that interests me. But mostly music right now. So if that sounds like something you'd be into, then I highly recommend subscribing to the channel and watching the rest of this video. Fall Out Boy during their heyday was seen as the boy band of pop punk. You had Pete Wentz plastered on every magazine and in blogs. Genre purists would stick their noses up at them, calling them not real emo or not real pop punk. And in recent years, they've drifted more into pop rock, which makes sense when you consider many of them are in their mid-40s and probably don't connect with the themes of pop punk as much anymore. But I think a lot of people write off Fall Out Boy without knowing their origin story. If you're a die-hard Fall Out Boy fan like me, then you probably already know about their hardcore roots. But I feel like there's a good portion of younger fans who maybe don't know the full story. What I want to do today is take a look at some of Fall Out Boy's more hardcore roots, specifically with Arma Angelus, the short-lived metalcore band that consisted of several members of Fall Out Boy. We'll look at their history, their music, and the impact they left on pop punk.
Surprisingly.
So with all that being said, grab a drink, grab a snack, get comfortable, and let's get into the video. I feel like the main character in this story, similar to Fall Out Boy's story in general, is Pete Wentz. Pete Wentz was born Peter Lewis Kingston Wentz III on June 5th, 1979 in Wilmette, Illinois. He was born to school admissions counselor Dale Lewis and attorney Pete Wentz II. The two met in the 1970s while doing campaign work for Joe Biden. It's kind of crazy how this crazy world keeps spinning and you get these crazy coincidences, and I don't know what I'm saying. Before getting into the Chicago hardcore scene, Pete was actually a pretty damn good soccer player.
Pete is an excellent soccer player. Very, very true.
He even considered going pro. Luckily, he decided that music was a more fulfilling choice. He said, "I always had a magical connection to the ball, but it didn't feel like an adventure. Music was more of a challenge, and in the end, felt more interesting." Pete would start integrating himself into the Chicago hardcore underground during the early and mid-90s. He would form his first band in 1993, a vegan hardcore outfit called Firstborn. Vocals would be provided by Adit Dashmukh. I hope I just didn't fuck that up. Tim Miller would play drums, and Ryan Moya would play guitar. They released a demo called 1000 Burning Suns, which I couldn't find anywhere for the life of me. It's just lost media, apparently. They also recorded an album in 1997 that went unreleased for a number of years. But I did manage to find an upload of that on Bandcamp. So here's what Firstborn sounded like.
I dream of a day when we will be free.
Firstborn broke up in 1998 after not releasing an album. But Pete and Tim Miller would remain close, going on to form a new band. In 1998, Pete Wentz would start a new band called Novena. He recruited Tim Miller, Jay Jansetic, Daniel Benet, Adam Bishop, and Tim McIlrath. Many of the members came from other Chicago hardcore bands. Adam Bishop was in a band called Extinction and X Shroud X. All hardcore bands had X before and after them. That's just how they went. Don't ask me why. Daniel Benet was in the political hardcore band Race Trader, who Pete would sometimes play bass for, and Tim McIlrath had just left the band Baxter. Eventually, they would change their name from Novena to Arma Angelus. McIlrath would also leave the band to start his own project called Rise Against. I couldn't really find any information on Rise Against. I don't think they ever really got that big or made that much of an impact. He would be replaced by Chris Gutierrez, who Fall Out Boy fans might know as Hey Chris from the song Grenade Jumper.
Hey Chris, you were our only friend, and I know this is the land. We love you back.
And with the lineup firmly in place, they would release their debut EP, The Grave End of the Shovel, in 2000. Arma Angelus isn't necessarily a hardcore band in the sense that a lot of the other Chicago hardcore bands were hardcore bands. I think they fit more into the 2000s metalcore scene than anything else. And the sound of this debut EP really shows that. The band would experience lineup changes, with members going on to be in other bands and just moving to other states. But nonetheless, they persisted. In 2001, they released their debut album, Where Sleeplessness is Rest from Nightmares. This album is your typical 2000s metalcore screamo album.
Which isn't a bad thing.
Just like most musical genres from the 2000s, metalcore from the 2000s is my favorite style of metalcore. I think there's just something really special about it. You had a lot of bands that made some really great shit. And I think Arma Angelus does a lot of cool shit on their Soul album. To support the album, the band would go on tour with bands like Hatebreed and Throwdown. The tour saw the departure of Chris Gutierrez. Man, these guys cannot keep guitar players. But they would recruit a young fan named Joe Troman. Joe was only 16 when he joined the tour that summer. And being only 16, he had severe stage fright. So he couldn't perform in front of even the smallest of crowds. So they brought back Gutierrez to finish out the tour, and Joe would become the merch boy. But he did manage to start a fruitful friendship with Pete Wentz. This friendship would also benefit Pete and Arma Angelus, as Joe would introduce him to a guy he met at a bookstore named Patrick Stump. Patrick, Pete, and Joe all shared a similar taste in music, so they would recruit Patrick to play drums in 2002.
Patrick is playing drums for some fucking reason.
But almost as soon as Patrick joined the band, they called it quits. A quote from the band on Lambgoat explained, "The goal of Arma Angelus was to express and stimulate discourse within the punk and hardcore community, and to express our distaste for apathy and uncaring, which we had felt became ideals within our community. As a band that always functioned on being uncool and negative energy, we have been through what we could be considered a revolving door lineup, and it has taken its toll. We have recently found ourselves becoming more and more busy with other projects and having less time for Arma." They would soon part ways and played their last show in their hometown of Chicago.
Alright, this is gonna be our last show on the face of the planet. This is for everybody in this room who's so fucking traitor. If you're traitor, put your fucking fist in the air on this song.
You know, I don't think I really need to explain what happened after the dissolution of Arma Angelus.
But I will.
Pete got tired of the hardcore scene. Its focus was shifting away from politics and having songs with meaning to just aggression and mindless moshing. While he was still in Arma Angelus, him and Joe Troman would start a side project. This side project focused mainly on pop-punk music as a sort of escape. Patrick was going to be the drummer for this project, but Joe encouraged him to sing because he had a soul voice.
Yeah!
So to fill in on drums, they recruited Race Traders drummer Andy Hurley. This side project would end up becoming Fall Out Boy. And the history of Fall Out Boy is a story for a different day. Getting into it would just make this video way too long, and I don't have that kind of time right now. I just wanted to explore how, from the ashes of a super underrated hardcore metalcore band, we got one of the greatest and most influential pop-punk bands of all time. Without Arma Angelus, we would have no Fall Out Boy. Did you know about Arma Angelus? Were you a fan? Let me know in the comments. That's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then I highly recommend smashing that like button and sharing this video with everyone you know. I am a small, independent content creator who does everything on his own. And I'm really trying to grow my channel, so every like, every comment, every share, any interaction with this video at all really helps me out a lot. I'm also trying to grow my Instagram, so if you want to follow me there, you can. And if you haven't checked out my absolutely massive Spotify playlist, what are you doing? Get on that shit.
Link in the description.
With all that being said, thank you for watching. As always, I'm Trevor. Stay uncool. And that's the end of the video. Goodbye.